picture that highly specific, visceral moment when you're standing on the very edge of a high diving board.
Oh, yeah, that terrifying moment.
Right, like your toes are curled over that rough grip tape. The water looks like it's literally a mile down.
And every single survival instinct in your primate brain is just screaming at you to step back.
Exactly. You are hovering right on the boundary between two completely different states of physics, you know?
Because, I mean, the concrete under your feet is safe.
Right.
It's solid, it's entirely predictable, you understand the rules of gravity up there.
Yeah, but then the water below is this massive, unpredictable variable.
Exactly. It represents a total suspension of the rules that govern your everyday reality.
And once you tip your center of gravity forward, there's just no undoing it.
No going back.
You trade that terrestrial stability for total thrilling surrender. And, well, that terrifying but absolutely necessary plunge is exactly what we're exploring today. Welcome to a very different kind of deep dive.
I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, today we are actually analyzing the official transcript of the music video for BTS's track Swim, which was released by HYBE labels.
It's just a remarkable piece of text to examine, especially because of how deceptively simple it appears upon your first listen.
Totally. Because on the surface, you hear that repeated hook, you hear the upbeat production, and it feels like, a standard summer anthem about hitting the beach.
Right, just a fun pool song.
Exactly. But our mission today is to unpack the intricate lyrical architecture underneath that surface.
And there is a lot underneath.
There really is. Because what emerges from these lyrics is this highly complex narrative about escaping a suffocating system of hyper-surveillance. It's about the profound, almost dangerous risks of ultimate intimacy and the literal suspension of time itself.
Yeah, so to understand the allure of the deep water in this song, we really first have to analyze the environment the speaker is fleeing.
Right. We have to look at the land first.
Exactly. And the contrast established in the opening verses is just stark. We're immediately introduced to this claustrophobic description of reality.
Which they repeatedly refer to as a bad world and a mad world.
Yes. And the speaker notes the frustration of waking up, saying, "Gone away and I still wake up in this mad world."
Which implies, a failed attempt at escape.
Precisely. They try to distance themselves.
Maybe through sleep or distraction.
Yeah.
But reality acts like this gravitational pull. The waking up is the crushing realization that the escape was just temporary.
It's fleeting. And then we get the lyric that really anchors this entire concept. They say, "Name a place that I could breathe on this map world."
God, the phrasing of a map world is so evocative to me.
It's brilliant.
Because if you think about what a map actually is, it isn't just a drawing of land.
Right.
It's a grid. It's a system of lines, borders, strict coordinates, designated paths.
Which means maps are fundamentally tools of control, right? They're tools of categorization.
Yeah.
To live on a map means your location is always known, your trajectory is calculated, and your boundaries are enforced.
Which, sociologically speaking, we can look at as a form of hyper-surveillance.
Absolutely. Think about our modern daily lives. You are constantly on a grid.
Oh, 100%. Your GPS location, your calendar invites.
Your social obligations, your career path. The speaker is expressing the actual physical suffocation of that constant tracking.
They're desperately scanning the grid, just searching for a single blank space,
Yeah.
an unmapped territory, just to regulate their nervous system and take a breath.
And that physical restriction immediately bleeds into a psychological and social restriction.
Because right after they talk about this suffocating map, they say, looking like a goody-goody in this bad world, and then admit, don't know how to act, girl.
Yeah.
So the surface world doesn't just dictate where you go, it literally dictates exactly who you have to be.
That concept of looking like a goody-goody points directly to the cognitive load of code switching. It's performative behavior.
Right, society demands a specific mask.
You have to feign compliance with the rules of the grid, even when you recognize that the world itself is inherently flawed or, bad.
And maintaining that performative facade is just exhausting.
It's incredibly draining. The speaker is experiencing a dual suffocation here. There's the physical lack of an unmapped space and the psychological burden of pretending they know how to function in a broken system.
So that frustration with this performative surface life begs the question, right? What does the alternative look like?
Right. Where do they go?
Exactly. Because based on these lyrics, the water they desperately want to reach isn't just a physical body of salt water.
No, not at all.
It operates as a profound psychological state. It's a liminal space that completely lacks the rigid borders of the map world.
And we see that psychological shift so clearly when the speaker addresses their partner, right, their co-conspirator in this escape.
Yeah.
They say, oh, you ain't even got to love me, bad girl. You know that I'm never holding back, girl.
Never holding back.
Right. The water is defined by the absolute absence of restriction.
It's the total opposite of playing the goody-goody. If the land requires a heavily curated performance, the water is an unfiltered state of being.
You don't have to monitor your behavior or act a certain way. You just exist.
Which reframes the entire chorus for me.
How so?
Well, when they repeat, swim, swim, I just want to dive, it isn't a casual desire for a literal swim, you know?
Oh, I see.
It functions almost like a self-seething mechanism. It's this desperate psychological mantra to actively mute the madness of the grid.
That's a great way to put it. And the speaker is actively seeking out the environmental conditions that facilitate this mental escape.
Yeah.
Like the lyric, nights like these, I just want to get lost. That highlights the deliberate desire for erasure.
Because on a map, your primary objective is to be found, right?
Yeah.
To know your exact coordinates.
Exactly. Desiring to get lost is a radical rejection of the map itself.
But getting lost in this context requires crossing a serious threshold. The lyrics meticulously trace the progression of this immersion, and it's not like a sudden jump.
No, it's very gradual.
It starts with mere contact, water falling off your skin. It's gentle. It's almost a sensory introduction to this new element.
And then we move to observation. Sitting on the shore.
Right. You're off the map, you've left the city, but you are still bound by gravity. You are on the boundary line, just hesitating.
And that hesitation is critical because what comes next is an absolute surrender. The speaker declares, now I'm ready for the whole sea.
They're no longer satisfied with the shallow end or the safety of the shoreline.
They're demanding the overwhelming, uncontainable volume of the ocean.
And this is where I have to push back a bit, or at least look really closely at the narrative being built here.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, the song actively shatters the illusion that this unmapped space is a peaceful, tranquil sanctuary.
Yes.
Because when they talk about the whole sea, they say, I can feel the high waves come in. High waves are violent. They represent a chaotic loss of control.
They definitely do.
And then the lyric introduces this jarring image. The speaker wants to be right here with the moon and the sharks.
Right.
The sharks.
Like, if you are fleeing a suffocating, mad world to find a place to breathe, actively inviting the presence of apex predators seems entirely counterintuitive. It makes this ocean incredibly wild and dangerous.
It does. But honestly, the presence of the sharks is arguably the most important metaphor in the entire text.
Really? Tell me more about that.
It addresses the fundamental paradox of vulnerability. Why invite the sharks? Because true immersion, whether we're talking about a complete psychological disconnection from society or deep, profound intimacy with another person, it requires stripping off all of your armor.
And without the armor of that goody-goody performance, you're completely exposed.
Exactly. Think about the recurring lines intertwined with these images of the deep water.
Right.
The speaker says, I could spend a lifetime watching you, and you're the only place that I want to be.
Oh, wow. So this plunge into the unmapped territory is intrinsically linked to another person.
Yes. They are diving into this psychological space together. And true intimacy is inherently dangerous. Because when you truly let someone see you, when you are never holding back, you're handing them the ultimate power to hurt you.
You're swimming with sharks.
Man, that's so profound. So the danger of the water isn't a flaw in the plan. It's the very mechanism that makes the escape real.
Precisely. On land, the danger is a slow, suffocating death by 1,000 calendar invites and social expectations.
Right, it's a predictable sadness.
But in the water, the danger is immediate, it's visceral and raw. But it makes you feel entirely alive.
Which totally explains the speaker issues. Why you run away, you can run in.
That lyric completely inverts standard human survival instincts.
It really does. Everything in our biology tells us to run away from high waves and predators.
But this new, unmapped logic argues that safety is an illusion created by the map world. To actually live, you have to lean into the risk. You have to run into the friction.
And they back up that philosophy with a reassurance of their own commitment to the danger, stating, I ain't never getting cold feet. Yeah, you know me.
I love that line.
Me too. Having cold feet works beautifully here as both a literal physical reaction to stepping into the cold ocean and the idiom for losing your nerve at the last second.
And the speaker's nerve is absolute. They are ready to be fully consumed by the environment.
They are abandoning terrestrial logic completely, which is illustrated by the lines, water's so deep, take it off the ground.
Yes, but notice how this massive, almost philosophical surrender is grounded by a very sharp, specific sensory detail.
Which one?
Salt on my tongue. She's stunning.
Oh, right. And that physical taste of the salt isn't just a passing sensory detail, though. It acts as a catalyst.
How so?
Because once that salt water is in their system, once they fully accept the high waves and the vulnerability of the sharks, the very rules of reality begin to fundamentally alter.
Yes.
We move into a space where the speaker actually stops acting human altogether.
The morphology in the final segment of the song is fascinating.
It's a total lyrical metamorphosis. The lyrics go, splash, drift, I make waves with my two fins. Splash, drift, I just want to take it across the line.
My two fins.
Yeah, they don't say my two arms or my two legs. They specifically claim my two fins.
Which is such a striking choice.
It really reads as though the speaker is physically shedding their human suit, the exact suit that was required to perform on the map world.
Right, because that human form was burdened, heavy, and suffocating under gravity.
Exactly. By crossing the line into the deep, they evolve into a creature perfectly adapted to this weightless element. They're no longer a struggling human trying to stay afloat. They are a creature built to generate the waves themselves.
And shedding the human form is the ultimate liberation from the societal map.
Because if the land requires a specific human performance, evolving past that biology is the only way to permanently escape the grid.
Precisely. But the transformation isn't just physical. It profoundly alters how they process existence, particularly regarding time.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah, they state unequivocally, under here, we don't chase the time.
Which is huge. Think about how exhausting that constant pursuit is for you on a daily basis.
That's relentless. As someone living in the modern world, time governs absolutely everything. Time is anxiety.
Yep.
Time dictates your deadlines, your commute, your perceived success or failure. We spend our entire lives on the surface chasing time, trying to optimize it, trying to catch up to a schedule that someone else drew on the map.
And the mechanism of suspending time underwater is rooted in sensory deprivation.
Right.
Above the surface, we rely on visual and auditory markers, clocks, traffic, the sun setting, the hum of the city, to orient our circadian rhythms and our perception of time passing.
But underwater, the acoustic and visual properties of the world change drastically.
Exactly. The ticking clock of society is physically dampened by the density of the water. You enter a flow state, a temporal distortion, where time ceases to be a measurement of productivity and just becomes entirely irrelevant.
You aren't chasing it, and it isn't chasing you.
You're simply drifting. Splash, drift.
And that sensory isolation provides a heavy acoustic barrier against the negativity of the surface. Because immediately after establishing that they don't chase time, they note, baby, everything can't be so sad.
The deeper you dive into this unmapped intimacy, the quieter the mad world gets.
Until the sadness of the land simply cannot reach you anymore.
And this physical and temporal separation leads to the definitive climax of the song's narrative arc. The speaker makes a final, absolute choice. Turn my face from the land.
That is a staggering image to visualize.
It really is.
Because up until this point, even while in the water, there was a sense of special relation to the shore.
Right, they started by sitting on it, then stepping off it.
But to deliberately, physically turn your face away from the land is the ultimate act of rebellion. It's a complete severing of ties.
It's a point of no return. They are consciously choosing to exist entirely within this suspended dimension.
Yeah.
They've acquired the fins, they've achieved the suspension of time, they have the raw vulnerability of the deep with their partner. There's absolutely nothing left for them on the map.
When we assemble all these lyrical pieces, the architecture of this song is just incredible.
Truly.
We started in this rigid, claustrophobic grid of a mad world, a place where everyone is forced to perform and act a certain way while slowly suffocating.
Yeah.
And we followed the narrative down to the boundary of the shoreline, watching a figure hesitate before actively choosing to run into the chaotic high waves.
They embrace the immense danger of the deep.
The sharks, the exposure, the raw terror of opening up completely to another person without any armor.
And through that radical acceptance of vulnerability, we witnessed a complete metamorphosis.
We watched a person who is drowning in the air of the surface world evolve into a creature perfectly adapted to the deep.
A creature who actively refuses to chase the clock and permanently turns their back on the tyranny of the map.
It is a massive journey encoded into a 3-minute track.
It really is.
And as you're listening to this, I mean, the core concepts hit remarkably close to home because we all navigate our own version of the mad world.
Everyone has their own grid.
Exactly. You have your own map of obligations that constantly tracks your coordinates and demands that you play the goody-goody role.
And the lyrics of this song challenge you to identify your own unmapped territory.
Where is your deep water? Or perhaps, who is your deep water?
Right. Where do you go, or who do you go to stop chasing the clock,
Yeah.
drop the performance, and just let your nervous system reset?
That is the essential insight to take away from this analysis. Finding that liminal space where you are never holding back is vital.
But it will undoubtedly come with its own sharks.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to require an immense amount of emotional risk and exposure.
But the text argues that the psychological freedom and the genuine intimacy you find there are worth the destructive potential of the high waves.
The freedom is worth the plunge.
Definitely.
But, it leaves us with one final, slightly haunting concept to consider.
What's that?
Throughout the track, the speaker repeatedly insists, this is how it all begins. Let it all begin. Now, we usually think of a deep dive as a temporary escape. You hold your breath, you go under, and eventually you return to the surface to resume your life on the map.
Sure.
But if true intimacy and true freedom require us to completely turn our face from the land and evolve our very nature to survive in the deep, what happens when we realize the water is the only place we can actually breathe?
Oh, wow.
Do we just keep sinking into the unmapped dark and never come back up?
It really redefines the nature of escape. At what point does the temporary sanctuary permanently replace the reality you left behind?
Exactly. You step off the edge of that diving board, you surrender your control to gravity, the water rushes over your ears to quiet the world, and you finally stop pretending.
Why would you ever climb back up the ladder?
A profound thought to keep in mind the next time you find yourself staring at your calendar, mapping out your day.
Or the next time you find yourself standing on the edge, deciding whether to step back or run in.